Welcome to Carol and Gary's See America Tour. Hello again, everyone. Carol, Jasper, and I left foggy Klamath, California at 8 a.m. Saturday, May 11th and headed north for an all-day drive. I'm getting used to driving in the fog on curvy, narrow roads, so this part of the drive didn't bother me. But then we saw this elk standing along the road. He appeared to be wanting to cross the highway. And there were several others just out of camera range standing behind him. Later we came to this flagman stopping cars. You certainly don't want to see things like this while driving on a narrow, winding road. After that, this sign caught my eye. Bicyclists in tunnel when flashing. Are you kidding me? Then, sure enough, we drove through a long tunnel. Luckily, we didn't meet anyone coming in the other direction. We eventually made it to Portland, Oregon, but Carol and I visited Oregon in 2013, so we are just stopping to see my sister. Then we will be continuing north to Washington, our 23rd state together. If you're new to our channel, while Carol and I were still working, we used to select the next state we were visiting by drawing the state out of a bowl. I would print the name of each unvisited state on a strip of paper and then place these strips into a bowl. Carol would draw one of these strips of paper, giving us the name of the next state that we would visit. Now that we're both retired and living in a motorhome, we are following a more structured route. We spent the weekend with my sister in Portland and then left Monday morning for Mount St Helens, Washington. Mount St Helens is one of the Pacific Northwest's many volcanic peaks, once a beautiful, symmetrical example of a stratovolcano in the Cascade Mountain Range, rising to 9,600 feet above sea level. Then at 8:32 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, on May 18, 1980, the once quiet volcano erupted and blew off the upper 1,000 feet of the summit. The eruption lasted 9 hours and caused the largest landslide in recorded history, depositing 3 billion cubic yards of sediment into the Toutle River basin. The debris from this eruption covered 32 square miles with an average depth of 150 feet. Mudslides from the avalanche filled the Cowlitz River channel and ran down the valley into the Columbia River. 25 miles away, a newly built A-frame house filled with 200 tons of silt, mud, water, and ash. Volcanic ash fell as far as 930 miles away. My sister, 120 miles away in Portland, had enough ash fall on her new car to require a paint job. This is the Toutle River basin today. That isn't water, you see. I suspect that it is debris that has not washed downstream. But weren't there any warnings before this eruption? A number of small earthquakes were recorded between March 15th and March 19th of 1980, but these were not recognized as immediate precursors to possible volcanic activity. A magnitude 4.1 earthquake, unlike any that had been previously detected in the area, occurred just northwest of the summit of Mount St. Helens on March 20th, 1980. Seismologists were uncertain as to whether or not these first earthquakes were related to volcanic activity, so they decided to deploy additional seismometers in order to better monitor future activity. Earthquakes and steam-driven explosions occurred off and on between March 27th and April 18th, 1980. State officials asked the governor to close a large area around the volcano on April 29th, 1980. The plan called for a red zone, which meant no public access, and a blue zone, which meant restricted access. Emergency officials were frustrated because the public appeared to remain unconcerned about the danger. Small explosions of steam and ash were emitted from the volcano between May 7th and May 13th of 1980. Intermittent earthquakes occurred up to a magnitude of 4.9. On May 17, 1980, law enforcement officials escorted approximately 50 carloads of property owners who had evacuated back into the red zone to retrieve possessions. And then on May 18, 1980, the eruption began. 57 people lost their lives or are still considered missing. The mountain itself, along with its surrounding blast zone, has been preserved as Mount St Helens National Volcanic Monument. The landscape within the monument is being allowed to take its own course to recovery, creating a fascinating learning experience for scientists and the public. Mount St Helens continues to experience low rates of seismic activity, low emissions of steam and volcanic gases, minor production of ash, and the growth of a new lava dome inside the crater. On March 8, 2005, Mount St Helens experienced a small explosive event with a resulting steam and ash plume reaching an altitude of approximately 36,000 feet above sea level. After seeing Mount St Helens and learning about her history, we drove back to where we had parked the motorhome, reconnected the car, and then drove to Olympia, Washington. Washington became our 42nd state on November 11, 1889. The state of Washington is the only state to be named after a United States president. Olympia is the state capital of Washington, so we decided to visit the state capitol building on our way north to Seattle. This is the state seal of Washington. Completed in 1928, the state capitol building is one of the tallest masonry domes in the world, rising 287 feet. This is a picture of the outside of the capitol building. Our tour guide showed us around the building and provided historical details. A large rotunda in the center of the building provided a grand entrance. The ceiling of the interior dome rises 175 feet above the rotunda floor. Hanging from the ceiling on a 101-foot chain is an ornate 5-ton bronze chandelier, which was designed and built by Tiffany Studios of New York. The chandelier contains 200 light bulbs. In each of the 4 corners of the rotunda is a Roman-style fire pot, also created by Tiffany Studios. These fire pots symbolize the signal lights used to call the First Senate into session more than 2,000 years ago. Flags of Washington's 39 counties are displayed alongside the fire pots. Jay Inslee is the current governor of Washington and has served since 2013. The governor is elected for a 4-year term, and there are no term limits. His office is on the 2nd floor of the Capitol building. A large conference room is adjacent to the governor's office, where the governor has staff meetings, signs bills into law, and makes presentations. The governor sits at the end of this table. The State House of Representatives and the State Senate have offices on the 3rd floor of the Capitol building. Members of the House of Representatives are elected to a 2-year term. Membership then elects a leader of the majority party to be the Speaker of the House. The 49 state senators serve a staggered 4-year term. The Lieutenant Governor presides over the Senate. All members of the legislature are part-time, serving 60 days on even-numbered years and 105 days on odd-numbered years. Legislative proceedings are open and can be viewed by the public from a gallery above. Well, this does it for our move into the state of Washington, with a stop at Mount St. Helens along the way. I realize that this is a short video time-wise, but it keeps us on track for the remainder of Washington. We will be leaving Olympia tomorrow for the short trip to Seattle. If you like this video but have not yet subscribed, please do so to be notified of future videos, and feel free to share with your friends. Thanks for watching!